Okay.
Yes, can still hear you.
Yeah. Okay. Could you hear me before when I muted it?
No,
Yeah. Okay. So, because they want you off. If I understood the narrative right, they want you off until it's your turn.
correct.
Okay. All right. Thank you. How was Easter, everyone?
It was good. How was yours?
Great. Thank you. It's very nice.
Hello.
Morning. Good morning, President Close. I believe we do have a quorum if you want to go ahead and get started.
Thanks, Ashley. We'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. We'll start off with the Pledge of Allegiance. Is it up? Well, we'll go ahead and begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. We'll go ahead and do the roll call now.
President Close,
Here.
Vice President Montier,
Here.
Superintendent Miller,
Here.
Ms. Barr,
Here.
Mr. Giovanni, Dr. Crockett, Ms. Foster,
Here.
Mr. Ruiz,
Here.
Mr. Stratton,
Here.
Mr. Swanson, President Close, you have a quorum.
Thank you. We'll go ahead and do a couple of housekeeping items first. Board members, please stay muted, and after each agenda item, we will allow for an open discussion and dialogue first, and then Ashley may go through roll call to see if any member has an additional comment or question if needed to ensure each board member is heard. And please state your name before you speak. For the charters on the agenda, please stay muted until your item is considered. We'll ask if the charter is available, and if so, the charter can unmute themselves at that time. Also, please be reminded general public, excuse me, is viewing the meeting via live stream. Okay, having taken care of housekeeping, item N will not be heard today. Therefore, a motion needs to be taken to postpone that item. Motion language.
Sorry, this is
Jessica. Go
Yep,
ahead.
I got it.
Mhm.
I move that agenda item N be postponed indefinitely.
Motion
And-
on the floor.
I will second the motion. This is Board Member Stratton.
Thank you, Member Stratton. Aaron, could you please do a vote?
So Vice President Monteith,
Aye.
Superintendent Designee Miller,
Aye.
Ms. Barr,
Aye.
Ms. Foster,
Aye.
Mr. Ruiz,
Aye.
Mr. Stratton,
Aye.
President Close.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. And moving on to item D, Superintendent's report. Ms. Miller,
Good morning, President Close and fellow board members.
good morning.
Pleased to present Superintendent Horn's April report. With the new administration, our mission is that the Department of Education is 1, primarily a service agency, 2, dedicated to raising academic outcomes, and 3, empowers parents. As a service agency, we are here to help you, and I would like to update the charter school community on some immediate opportunities through my department. We are opening the latest round of school safety grant program applications, and I urge you to pursue these resources to assist in keeping your schools safe, as my thoughts remain with the families in Nashville and all educators processing the recent events. As part of the department's service-oriented mission, Michael Kurtenbach, the former assistant chief of the police department, has been named the director of school safety. He will be assisted by former Phoenix Police Commander Alan Smith. The two will work throughout the state, providing schools with resources and expertise to implement effective personnel and safety procedures. Kurtenbach has more than 32 years of experience in law enforcement. He has served as Vice Chair of Terrorist Behavioral Services, Advisory Board Member of the ASU Center for Violence Prevention, Board Member of Arizona Common Ground, and numerous law enforcement associations. One of his goals is to assist school administrators in building trust with students to foster the specific types of communication that best help support a safer school environment. Another current opportunity for schools is the State Character Education Matching Grant. When I was last superintendent from 2003 to 2011, we successfully implemented the 6 pillars of character education: trustworthiness, respect, responsibility, fairness, caring, and good citizenship, to provide a meaningful and measurable framework to help focus on character skills and shape a positive culture for students. As we renew the focus on academics, character education provides an important balance for our students. Any public or charter school that teaches a character education curriculum of their choice, pursuant to ARS 15719, is eligible to apply for the State Character Education Matching Grant. The application is available in the Arizona Department of Education's Grant Management Enterprise System. Charter schools, like all public schools, have unique needs, and I want to ensure that they are represented and engaged with my administration and aware of the resources available to them. ADE has developed an exciting free professional learning opportunity for assistant principals, deans, principals, and all others charged with the responsibility of observing and evaluating teachers. The 2-day in-person qualified evaluator training is designed to provide tools, strategies, and resources to assist with supporting teacher practice in the evaluation process. Completers of the qualified evaluator training will meet the criteria stated in ARS 15537F for qualified evaluators. Also, the Title I and Title II program area in the Academic Achievement Unit requests your membership in the Committee of Practitioners known as COP. To give you some background on the COP, this statutory requirement was put in place by the U.S. Department of Education to provide states with a platform for communicating all major proposed or final rules or regulations issued by the state and providing committee members the opportunity to provide their feedback. Beginning in fiscal year 1998, the COP became a cross-programmatic committee covering all Every Student Succeeds Act programs that are in the consolidated plan. The COP serves as an advisory council to ADE to ensure that all students under ESSA are provided equitable access to an excellent education. As part of the transition to my new administration, ADE is restarting the COP and seeking membership from administrators, teachers, parents, representatives of non-public school children, and representatives of neglected and delinquent institutions. COP members will collectively commit to engage in the work of the committee to address relevant issues related to ESSA programs and provide feedback to ADE from a school perspective of their impact. The committee is now holding an open membership. Membership includes a commitment to 3 meetings per year, currently 2 virtual and 1 in person, and specific webinars scheduled throughout. Please note that the first COP in this new series is scheduled to be held virtually on Thursday, April 27th, 2023. Please sign up before that meeting, and for any specific questions, reach out to educator and school excellence at azed.gov. ADE looks forward to engaging with you. Thank you. That concludes the superintendent's April report.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Miller. Any questions from the board? None. We'll go ahead and move on to item E, Ashley, Executive Director's report.
Thank you. Good morning, President Close, Superintendent Designee Miller, and board members. As an update on legal matters, Pinnacle Education Keno LLC, although removed from this agenda for consideration, will be placed on an agenda in future meetings. The board's legal counsel has submitted a proposed settlement agreement to the charter holder for its review and consideration. For the board's final legal matter, which pertains to Arizona Education Solutions, the charter holder has been placed on today's agenda for consideration. Additionally, as an update on approved amendments and termination agreements, and this is my update that is promised to you all so that you understand what amendments have been approved since we last met and which agreements have been approved. So since our last board meeting, there has been 1 surrender agreement approved by President Close, and that was Parkview School, Inc. That was a charter that did go through a notice of intent to revoke process, but then ultimately surrendered its charter contract. There were 0 AOIs, or Arizona Online Instruction amendments, approved. There were 26 amendments approved by me between the dates of March 11th and April 7th. And those are amendments that are more technical in nature and more of a notification to update contracts. There were 8, 5, and 10-year school reviews completed in the month of March, and there were 3 renewals. There were 17 pop-ins completed in the month of March as well. And now going on to my update regarding the board's new online system. We are currently working through the final stages of reviewing the developed site. Last month, I had communicated to the field that we'd be turning off access to the legacy system, ASBCS Online, this week. However, the turn-off date for the legacy system is being pushed back to allow for additional time to make final touches to the system. At this time, a turn-off date for the legacy system has not been decided definitively. But I can say that in the next few weeks, access to the system will be turned off. Because the system will be turned off at some point in the next few weeks, I want to urge charter holders to submit any anticipated requests to ASBCS Online as soon as possible. That will help us to lower the number of submissions that must be submitted out of the system during the time the legacy system is turned off and the new system is not yet accessible. Please know, however, that we will work with charters when the system is turned off to give more time for submissions and to allow submissions outside of the system. With this delay, we are looking at a new go live date. As of today, we anticipate the new system to go live mid to late May. And President Close and board members, that is all I have to report. Happy to answer any questions if there are any.
Thank you, Ashley. Are there any questions from the board? All right, hearing none, we'll go ahead and move on to item F. Thank you, Ashley. Item F is call to the public. There were no requests to speak and no public comments were received. So move on to item G. Arizona Alternative Education Consortium.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, President Close and board members. My name is Rochelle Morris, and I am here as the president of our Arizona Alternative Education Consortium. And I'm pleased to be able to present to you some research that will indicate the value that alternative education is bringing to Arizona, as well as a showcase school that will be tying in exemplary practices identified by the National Alternative Education Association. So it's my pleasure to be here today. Thank you for having us. We do have a presentation for you today. And throughout the show, we are happy to answer any questions along the way. But first and foremost, the Arizona Alternative Education Consortium. It is a consortium comprised of members that are from district schools, charter schools, and even accommodation school districts. And our members are comprised of educators as well as school leaders. Our mission is to advocate, educate, and collaborate. Thank you. We have two objectives today for our presentation, but we also want to highlight that the Arizona Alternative Education, our goal is to bring excellence to Arizona and to serve as a champion for disenfranchised students and those that are in underserved and underprivileged scenarios. Our students primarily are facing significant environmental barriers. Many of them have dropped out of school and are looking to re-engage. And I think as we move on, you'll see some data that pertains to that exactly. But today's objective specifically is we hope that you'll gain an understanding of the National Alternative Education Association's practices, which are called exemplary practices, as well as some dropout prevention practices. Our second goal today is to help gain an understanding of some exemplary practices being highlighted at Blueprint Education and Hope High School, which is implementing a VIP program utilizing agile tools, and we'll be aligning that to exemplary practices 7 and 9 for you today. This first slide is courtesy of the Arizona Charter Schools Association. And what you're looking at is enrollment periods dating from 2011 to 2015. And if you would, I know there's a lot of data represented in this screenshot, but if you'll notice the trajectory of the lines moving towards the right, and that is as you approach 11th grade, you see over time a significant decline in enrollment in Arizona at about 11th grade. And this holds true in 2011 as well as in 2016. So I want to point out that this is pre-pandemic data, and we see consistently that drop in enrollment in 11th grade. But then you see a incline of that data moving into 12th grade. And we'll explain the significance of that data here in just a moment. This data is COVID era and post-COVID. You also see, again, that decline in enrollment continues to exist in that 11th grade. We'll move on to the next slide. When we disaggregate this data, what we notice is that in non-alternative schools, we see that enrollment continues to decline through those high school years. But in alternative education, represented in the blue bar, you'll see that enrollment begins to increase. And we want to point out that significant increase is happening in 12th grade. And this is about the time that alternative education is recapturing students that have disengaged from school. And we wanted to highlight that so that it's very clear from the data that is pulled from our Department of Education, as well as the US Department of Education, that alternative education is value added to our educational system. Without alternative education, you can see that many students would have stayed disenfranchised in our state. And we know that there is an economic value to keeping students in school and supporting students to the finish line, which is receiving that diploma and moving on to those post-secondary pathways. Additional data that we've been able to pull into today's presentation is regarding effective strategies on dropout rate. And I particularly love this data, and I share it with so many stakeholders any chance I can get. This is based on a meta-analysis. And if you're familiar with research data, meta-analyses combine several data points that have similar effect sizes. And it's typically your most reliable data and research. And this is indicating that in regards to prevention of dropouts, the area that has the highest impact for keeping those students engaged to the finish line is career development and job training, as well as family engagement and mentoring. And so today's presentation, we are going to be highlighting areas that align to those effective strategies for preventing dropouts. Two exemplary practices that we will be showcasing today is 7.0, which is transition planning and support. And this is where schools that are engaging in best practices, research-based practices, in an alternative education environment, we want to support the transition of our students coming in as well as students leaving. And leaving may be graduation, may be returning to their school of origin. It may be moving on to career, technical, college scenarios. Exemplary practice 9 is focused on collaboration. And it's essential in alternative education because our students do face so many environmental barriers, social barriers, that we have a well-established network with our community agencies, businesses, any kind of network that is going to support those students to stay engaged in school, whether those are with wraparound services or with supporting their projection into that post-secondary pathway. So these two practices today will be the highlight of our showcase school today. And please allow me to introduce our next presenter, who is Kristen Sumari. She is the Senior Director of Academics at Blueprint Education. And with her today, she, I believe, has some students that will be talking a little bit about their VIP program and the way that they are aligning that to exemplary practices to ensure that students stay engaged at their school. And I'll turn it over now to Kristen.
Good morning, board. Thank you so much for having us. I want to introduce the most important people in the room. This is Mr. Thomas Blakesley. This is Mr. Emmanuel Booker, and this is Mr. Jeremiah Ward. I am so thrilled to have these young men here with me today. I want to give you just a little bit of our history of why we even started a program called VIP. It was about 3 years ago, and we had just partnered with Arizona Blue Cross Blue Shield. Super excited that this mega company showed some interest in us because we were really trying to prepare our students in an agile environment. They were so excited about our students that they wanted to offer opportunities for internships and take our students through the interviewing process and have them actually come and work within the company over the summer. And for us, this was the highlight of, of our year. And so we prepared our students for the interviews. They showed up, they did a wonderful job. It was day one for the student that was selected to show up to the internship, and she didn't show up. And when we called and asked her what was going on, she said, I don't think I belong there. I just don't feel right, miss. I know I don't fit in with those people. And so this was devastating for us, because here we have this amazing opportunity that could have really set this young lady up for potential careers, potential just networking opportunities. And she was stuck with this feeling of not belonging. Fast forward a year later, we had another young man that went through the interviewing process. We prepped him a little bit more. We told him what to expect. Day 2, didn't show up. When we called and asked him why, it's just too much. Everyone's going to expect something of me. My mom says it's too much. I should be comfortable with just doing what I'm doing. So a group of us from across our district got in a room and said, when faced with opportunities or extreme success, our students are not stepping into that. They're not walking into that door. What are we doing wrong? And so thus the VIP program was born. VIP for us stands for value, independence, and purpose. We wanted to start to equip our students for what it is to belong, what it is to walk into a door and know that you should be there. We wanted to start to talk to them about success and give them frequent opportunities to experience that. Within this program, we take students on a wide variety of field trips that all kind of cater to different things. We do a lot of college tours. In fact, we just took our students to NAU, where they got to tour the NAU campus. They got to, many of them, play in the snow for the very first time in their lives. It was a wonderful opportunity for our kids to walk around and see other students that look just like them. We take them to places to explore careers. We had a young lady who was so sure that she wanted to be a basketball player. The WNBA was her jam. That's all she wanted to do. We got in touch with the Phoenix Suns organization and WNBA. They put us in contact with the president, who invited her down and didn't give her a tour of the court or didn't take her to the locker room with the players. Instead, he sat her with the executives there and talked about what it is to run the company, what it is to run an organization that looks like, that looks like very different from how she had formulated basketball playing out in her life. And when she left there, she didn't say, oh, I don't want to play basketball anymore, but she left with possibilities. She left with other career options that she didn't even know existed. We work with our students on financial literacy, but one of the most important pieces is putting them frequently in business environments so that they know they belong, putting them frequently in front of people in suits and ties and in big buildings with glass windows so they know that this is where they belong, so they can make their own mark. We also do some crazy things like take them indoor skydiving. We push them to the limit. We make them get on horses for the first time, and they make me get on horses for the first time. And we take them to etiquette classes. We put them in a professional kitchen and have them learn from the best chefs how to cook a meal. We do trainings with them about their life, about not having everything figured out and that being okay. We want to expose them to a world that maybe is untapped. We want them to see the possibilities of things that could be. And so with that being said, I'm going to let them have the floor and talk a little bit about what this experience has been for them. I just grabbed them this morning, so there's been no prep. So if what they are saying to you is from the heart and it's genuine. So I'm gonna start with Thomas over here on my left, because he's been our longest VIP member, and he's been kind of a leader. He doesn't have an official title, but over the past 2 years of being in this program, Thomas has stepped up as a natural leader in this program. And that's what we organically are hoping to see. Scoot on up, bud.
Hello, my name is Thomas Blakesley, and I've been a part of Hope High School for 2 years now, my junior and senior year. I'd have to say that the VIP has been very important to make. I've been to 2 high schools now, And this school feels very involved. They don't want to just push you out the door. They want to get to know you. They want to make sure that you succeed when they push you out the door. And I'd have to say, when my mom passed away earlier this year, it hit me hard, and I just wanted to give up on school. But they pushed me. They made sure that I'd finish, and now I'm on track to finish this year. Thank God. But what VIP has taught me that, they don't have to be blood to be your family. I really enjoy that.
Thanks, Bud. Emmanuel Booker. Emmanuel came to us just this year from out of state, and he joined us in a few trainings and classes, and then slowly continued to come with us on college tours and things like that. Emmanuel has been very open about kind of starting fresh and starting a new life here. And all I've seen is that continuous effort in him to push forward, to push past hurdles. So it's been a pleasure to have him be a part of our program. You want to say a few words, Emmanuel?
Hey, my name is Emmanuel Booker. I just want to say that VIP is a great institution. It's worked so well with me. This woman right here, I love her so much. She has helped me. I've cried with her. She helped me understand what I want to do in life, what my path is gonna be. This is my first year here. I'm a freshman, big freshman, but from now on, I can see that what I want to do in life.
Okay. Good job, freshman. All right. We have Mr. Jeremiah Ward here. I will give a little tidbit about Jeremiah. Jeremiah is our highest scoring student in the district when it comes to our benchmarks and our state testing. And so we are just so proud of him for all of the academic achievements, as well as his participation, constant participation in the program, and just always being a leader. He's a gentle giant, but I'm really proud that he has taken this opportunity to even speak today. So I'm going to turn it over to you.
Hi, my name is Jeremiah, and this school it was a lot different than my previous school. It's a lot more engaged, it's also a lot more flexible, because I've been to this school for almost 2 years, and these last 2 years have been kind of rough for me. My mom's had a lot of health issues. I've had a lot of family members kind of like pass away and things like that. So it's been kind of hard. I haven't been able to show up every day. It's been kind of hard to like finish, but they've helped me. They've gave me extensions on things. They've just like helped me out. It's a lot easier to talk to my counselors here, because at my previous school, you'd have to like schedule a couple days in advance, things like that. And they just want to make sure I graduate, which is really helpful. They gave me, this program specifically has helped me like plan out what I want to do for my future. I've always known like what career I wanted to go into, but I had no idea like how to do it. I had no idea how to like get in touch with like colleges to visit their campuses and things like that. Thanks to this program, I've been to a couple different colleges. I know where I want to like attend next year when I do go to college. And they've also put me in touch with a lot of like career like professionals with like set careers, something I want, because I value like stability and things like that. Something that is not there in my life sometimes. So something I do want in the future, and this program has like helped me to figure out how to achieve that. So yeah.
Fantastic. Okay, well, I think that our time is up. I just if impart anything, it's just that we are doing amazing things with these wonderful students, and it is our pleasure to be able to serve them in this way. You'll see just a few of the things that they've been able to do. These are some of we Chase Bank over here on the left. We take them to animal rescue centers, construction careers, even fitness careers and opportunities. Again, snow for the very first time of their life. A lot of firsts are experienced with these amazing students, for them as well as us. Some of us didn't have those same opportunities growing up. And so the beauty in this is a lot of their firsts are also my firsts, and being able to do that with them and show them the world in a very different way is what has made this program so successful. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for listening. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out.
Thank you, gentlemen, Thomas, Emmanuel, Jeremiah. I just want to thank you for your time. All of your stories are great. They're heartwarming and inspiring, truthfully. So thank you for sharing. And Kristen, thank you for working with these gentlemen and for all the students. You remind us that education, when done properly, when executed properly, is not an assembly line. So thank you for that. Are there any questions from the board? Any questions from the board? Any comments?
Right. Well, I'll just close up, again, thank you for the opportunity to share a highlight of what is happening in alternative education. And as president of the Arizona Alternative Education Consortium, I just want to really hit home that alternative education is a much needed place here in our educational system. We bring value. Again, when we go back to the research on students who are disengaging from school starting about their junior year, we know alternative education is recapturing those students. And we're different. We're alternative for a reason. We don't want to look like those big comprehensive high schools, because oftentimes those schools in that environment, it wasn't working for our students. Our students are needing a more intimate environment with wraparound services. They're needing ways to break down the external barriers in their lives so that they can get an education, they can get to that finish line and beyond. And so again, just really want to reinforce the value that alternative education is bringing to the state of Arizona. Appreciate your time this morning. Thank you.
Thank you. Take care. Moving on to item H, consent agenda. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Okay, Member Stratton, is there a second?
This is Jessica. I second.
Okay, motion on the floor and seconded. Aaron, could you please tally a vote?
Vice President Montier,
Aye.
Superintendent Designee Miller,
Aye.
Ms. Barr,
Aye.
Dr. Crockett,
Aye.
Ms. Foster,
Aye.
Mr. Ruiz,
Aye.
Mr. Stratton,
Aye.
President Close.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously.
All right, thank you. Moving on to, item I1, presentation by Shannon.
Good morning.
Good morning. I guess you're going to go ahead and do an introduction for both the new school amendment requests for both of them for
That
American
is
Leadership
correct.
Academy. Okay.
Yep, that is correct. President Close, Vice President Montier, Superintendents Designee Miller, and members of the board. American Leadership Academy, Inc. has submitted two separate new school amendment requests. One to add American Leadership Academy Apache Junction, which will serve grades K-12 in Apache Junction, and one to add American Leadership Academy Surprise, which will serve grades K-12 in Surprise. Both schools would open in fiscal year 2025. The charter holder does not meet the staff recommendation criteria for either request because 3 of its current schools do not perform at or above the average performance of schools within 5 miles of their current locations, as detailed in the executive summaries. Additionally, American Leadership Academy Virtual Academy does not perform at or above the average performance of math of schools within a 5-mile radius of both of the proposed locations. And American Leadership Academy Santan Valley K-6 and American Leadership Academy Signal Butte K-6 do not perform at or above the average performance of schools within a 5-mile radius of the Surprise location. I am available for questions if you have any.
Are there any questions from the board? If not, is there a motion?
Do we have, Oh, sorry. I'm so
Excuse-
sorry. I was just wondering if we have anybody from the charter.
Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize. Thank you, Jessica.
No worries. I just wanted to see if we had anything else.
I need some coffee, so I apologize. Is there a representative from the charter?
There is, President Close. My name is Chris Moss. I'm representing American Leadership Academy this morning, and I do have some comments if the board will permit.
Oh, please. I apologize. Go ahead.
Thank you. Good morning, President Close and members of the board. My name is Chris Moss. I'm the division president overseeing the daily operations of all 13 of ALA's campuses. Joining me from the ALA district office in Mesa is ALA's chief academic officer, Ms. Diane Fox, and ALA's compliance officer, Mr. Rob Nelson. Also in the district office in Mesa is ALA's charter holder, Mr. Glenn Way, and the executive leadership team of Charter One, the EMO for American Leadership Academy. On behalf of that group, I'd like to thank the board for the opportunity to discuss our expansion requests for the new campuses in Apache Junction and Surprise. We're excited about these opportunities because we've had significant interest from families in those areas to bring ALA to those communities. Adding campuses in these areas would be an important step to make ALA available, as our mission statement says, to as many students as possible. ALA is proud of its efforts to deliver on that mission over the past 13 years, but we know we're not perfect. And we know that the board staff has recommended the expansion requests not be approved due to concerns in a couple of areas. So with the board's indulgence, I'd like to address those concerns this morning. Of ALA's 13 campuses, 9 are performing relatively well, and we believe are indicative of ALA's institutional processes. The remaining 4, to be candid, are lagging slightly in performance, and these are the campuses identified in the staff report. Of those 4, 1 did not perform at or above the math and ELA state test averages of neighboring schools in its current locations in 2022. 2 campuses did not perform at or above ELA averages of neighboring schools of the current locations, as well as the proposed Surprise location in 2022. And 1 campus, our virtual campus, did not perform at or above the 2022 math averages of neighboring schools of both Apache Junction and Surprise locations. Now, I want to make very clear that we're not here to make excuses for these campuses' performance. We remain absolutely committed to providing the very best education possible for our families. And we will be the first to say that we're not satisfied with how these particular campuses did last year. And we won't be satisfied until every single student on those campuses and every single student at every ALA campus, for that matter, is proficient on the state assessment. But that said, we would like to offer some additional information about those campuses to add context to the data included in the board staff's report. First, each of the non-virtual campuses identified by the board, our Gilbert South K6, our Santan Valley K6, and our Signal Butte K6, is located on a demographic and a school boundary. 2 of these are in or near Queen Creek Unified School District, and 1 is in Chandler Unified School District. In all 3 cases, the non-ALA schools located near the ALA campuses are high-performing schools, which means the staff report comparison of these campuses, of these ALA campuses, to schools within 2 and 5 mile radii impose a very high standard by which to assess the ALA school's performance. Now, we don't have any problem with that comparison because we believe it holds us accountable and pushes us to improve continually. However, when looking at the comparison data, we feel it's important to realize that these 3 ALA campuses are serving a more diverse set of families than their non-ALA neighbor schools. For example, our Gilbert South campus has 4 times the number of income-eligible subgroup students than its 5 mile radius neighbors, and it has 5 times the number of their 2 mile radius neighbors. Similarly, Santan Valley and Signal Butte campuses have nearly twice the number of income-eligible students as their non-ALA neighbors. Now, ALA absolutely believes that these students deserve to and can achieve at the same rates as non-income eligible students. So this isn't about making excuses. It just highlights the reality that the student makeup of the ALA and non-ALA schools, despite being so close to each other, isn't quite the same. To give some additional context, all 3 of these campuses, which are ALA's lowest performing campuses, exceed the state proficiency standards averages in both ELA and math. In addition, in 2022, these 3 campuses, when averaged, outperformed nearly 70% of the neighboring schools within a 5 mile radius of the proposed Apache Junction site. And within the 2 mile radius, they outperformed 100% of the neighboring schools. For the Surprise location, they outperformed 54% of the neighboring schools in ELA and 64% of the neighboring schools in math. And while we fully understand there's work to do to get these campuses where we want them to be, we also feel it's important to highlight the nuance of the data in the board staff's recommendation. That said, we're not satisfied with the performance of these campuses, and we have over the past year implemented several initiatives and changes to improve their performance. First, Charter One, ALA's EMO, replaced its chief academic officer and specifically tasked the new chief academic officer with designing and leading a focused effort to address student proficiency and learning gaps. Ms. Fox created a new program for identifying at-risk and non-proficient students by name and developing and implementing tailored plans to improve learning and test scores for those students. She then conducted a dedicated district-wide training for all campus administrators on the program this past summer. That program was implemented at the start of the school year with particular emphasis on the campuses listed in the board staff report. Charter One supported that effort with a restructure of its academic department to provide additional support to campuses in their effort to identify and close student achievement and testing gaps. In particular, they established a new position of teacher and student success, whose primary job is to monitor and respond to underperforming campuses. Beyond that, we assigned an additional administrator to the Santan Valley K-6 campus, whose primary task is providing intervention support to students performing below expectations. And finally, we have also added an additional district-level supervisor focused exclusively on overseeing campus operations at our K-6 campuses. We believe these things will help enhance performance at all ALA campuses, but in particular will benefit the campuses identified by the board staff. The fourth campus mentioned in the board staff's recommendation was ALA's virtual campus. Like many online programs, our virtual program has seen a significant evolution in the short time that it's been operating. However, over the past 2 years, we've seen a change in the type of student desiring an online education. And unlike our brick and mortar campuses, where we are seeing attendance numbers rebounding to pre-COVID levels, we're experiencing a trend of disengagement among our online students. And we believe that's the primary reason responsible for the performance issues noted by the board staff. To address this, we've replaced the program's assistant director, added 2 additional administrator and support positions, and are implementing a change to the program's curriculum development team to provide more rigorous and engaging lesson material. We've invested in a robust learning center, which provides daily in-person support to over 100 students to serve as a pathfinder for future virtual support programs. And we're pursuing partnership collaboration programs with our existing brick and mortar schools to increase engagement among our virtual students. Our virtual campus presents unique challenges in terms of student commitment, but we believe virtual schooling is a needed and important option for many families. So we're committed to evolving our program to ensure it delivers the highest quality instruction possible. While the changes implemented to improve the performance at the 4 campuses identified in the board staff's report are a work in progress, we feel good about the direction we're headed, and we're optimistic that the changes will yield the results that we're after. ALA is a strong believer in Arizona's approach to school choice, where educational opportunities for families provide the means to enhance education across the state. Our expansion requests provide more choice from a quality charter school operator to communities where choice is needed and wanted. ALA's mission has always been to support families by providing a quality education and a moral and wholesome environment to as many families as possible. And that last phrase is important to us. It's more than just a bumper sticker phrase. We genuinely want to be an option across the state for parents who believe our model of education is right for their families. And we believe our 45% year-over-year growth since our founding demonstrates that the demand remains strong for ALA and other charter options. We're confident that we can deliver the same high-quality experience to the families of Apache Junction and Surprise that we provide to our 14,000 students and families today. And we hope the board agrees and sees fit to approve our request. We thank the board for your time this morning, and we are happy to answer any questions the board may have at this time.
Thank you. Jessica, did you have a question?
I do actually. It sounds like you're doing a lot as far as restructuring goes with your brick and mortar campuses and your AOI schools. So I'm just curious as to why you would want to add the expansion in addition to all of the restructuring It seems like a lot to take on.
Yes, ma'am, it is, but I'll say the bulk of the restructuring has already taken place. So these are things that we have done over the past year to try to address kind of that lagging performance that I talked about. But as I said, we do think it's important to grow and to bring the ALA opportunity to the communities where we're wanted. And we have received strong requests and interest from both Apache Junction and Surprise, and we think we can benefit those communities. We don't feel that that the recent restructuring activity imposes any new risk to us. We're fairly experienced in opening new schools. We've been robust in that, and we feel like we've got a formula that can get us there. But that doesn't mean we don't have to, in parallel, work to make sure that all of our campuses are performing at the level that we need them to be performing.
And do you happen to have any additional information or data? I realize not state testing data, because obviously we're in the throes of that right now, but any sort of benchmarking assessment data or anything like that that would give us any indication as to how the restructuring is going and progress towards your plans?
I apologize, ma'am. I did not bring that data with me, but we have done benchmarking throughout the year, and we believe that data is pointing us in the right direction. And again, my apologies for not having that handy with me for the presentation today. But our benchmarking results have been positive. We use the Illuminate system, and it gives us what we think is a good predictor of where we're headed, and we feel confident going into this testing cycle.
And how about the re-engagement with the AOI? How's that going?
That's a work in progress. If I'm being perfectly candid, ma'am, we don't yet fully understand why we're seeing the disengagement. Our best analysis says that some of the students aren't feeling the it's just the sense of commitment. In other words, I think online education makes it easier for students to kind of opt out, either directly or just de facto. And so we're trying to solve a fairly intangible problem. And so we think that making our curriculum material more engaging, and also since many of our online students are on some level hybrid with brick and mortar schools, if we can encourage continued commitment to the online program through those opportunities where we engage with those students in person, we think that will yield good results. That's also the reason why we're investing so heavily in the Learning Center opportunity that we've produced. Like I said, we've got 100 students who are coming in person every day, even though they are enrolled online, to help, I think, overcome some of the shortcomings that are inherent in an online program. And so we'd like to flesh that out as a continued pathfinder to see where it becomes perhaps more logical and more feasible to do that across the ALA portfolio.
Okay.
Add to that, we've been monitoring state testing across all of our schools, and at this time, ALA Virtual is tested up to 90% of its students, with just a few more to reach that 95% threshold. So the engagement of our students at ALA Virtual this year compared to last year is astounding. So we are getting students who are committed to coming in and testing so that we can have a real understanding of where our students are academically.
That's great news. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you, Jessica. Any other questions from the board? Hearing none, is there a motion?
Yes, this is Jessica. I move, based on the information contained in the board materials and presented today, to deny the request to add American Leadership Academy Apache Junction and American Leadership Academy Surprise to the contract of American Leadership Academy, Inc. for the reasons that I would like to see some more information about the restructuring and prior to moving forward with additional schools.
All right, there's a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second the motion. This is Board Member Stratton.
Member Stratton, seconding. Thank you. Aaron, would you go ahead and take the roll?
Vice President Montier,
Aye.
Superintendent Designee Miller,
No.
Ms. Barr,
No.
Dr. Crockett,
No.
Ms. Foster,
Aye.
Mr. Ruiz,
Aye.
Mr. Stratton,
Aye.
President Close.
If I'm counting right, it's a 3-3 vote right now, isn't it? So I am obligated to vote, and I will vote.
And to clarify,
No,
if I may, President Close,
Ashley.
as of right now, there are 4 ayes and 3 nays.
Okay, so 4 ayes and 3 nays. Well, I was going to vote no, so that is a tie. Is that correct? Ashley?
Yes, sir.
Correct.
So the vote fails.
Yes, sir.
All right. So is there any addition? Is there another motion, or do we just move on? Is it done? Ashley,
President Close.
advice? Yes.
Absolutely. President Close, at this point, it fails. There has not been a valid motion taken to make a determination based on the ALA new school requests. Therefore, the board may ask additional questions of the charter, get more information from them, maybe answer some of the concerns that may be out there for the other board members. But at this time, we would either need to table the item or
Ashley,
another motion.
Ashley, I know this may be, have we closed on the vote? Because I'd be willing to change my vote to an aye.
President Close, I think there needs to be another motion.
All right, I understand.
Mhm.
Is there anyone willing to make another motion?
President Close, I move based on the information contained in the board materials and presented today to approve the request to add American Leadership Academy, Apache Junction, and American Leadership Academy Surprise to the contract of American Leadership Academy, Inc., effective fiscal year 2025.
Is this Ms. Miller? I apologize. I can't see. All right, thank you. Motion made by Ms. Miller. Is there a second?
I'll second that. This is Member Ruiz.
Member Ruiz seconds. We'll go ahead and take a vote now. Aaron?
President Close, point of information, just for clarification.
This is Board Member Stratton.
Yes, it's Board Member Stratton, sorry.
Thank you.
Are we voting on the same question that we just voted on?
Yes, we are.
Okay, but now the motion is just,
I'm
it's
sorry.
the affirmative and not the negative, correct?
That's correct. As
Okay.
I understand it, is that correct? Aaron, is it?
Yeah, it is. So the new motion is for the approval of the schools.
Okay. Understood.
Everyone ready? Understood? Any questions? Nope. All right, Aaron, go ahead.
Vice President Montier,
No.
Superintendent Designee Miller,
Aye.
Ms. Barr,
Aye.
Dr. Crockett,
Aye.
Ms. Foster,
No.
Mr. Ruiz,
Aye.
Mr. Stratton,
No.
President Close.
Aye.
Motion passes to a majority.
All right, thank you all. Thank you, ALA, for your time. We'll go ahead and move on.
Thank you very much.
Next item is Kaizen Education Foundation, DBA El Dorado High School. Shannon,
Good morning again.
good morning.
Kaizen Education Foundation, DBA El Dorado High School, has submitted an amendment request to increase its enrollment cap from 750 to 900 for fiscal year 2024. The increase is to accommodate anticipated growth for both schools operated by the charter holder. The charter holder does not meet the staff recommendation criteria because El Dorado High School does not perform at or above the average performance of nearby alternative schools in English language arts. And I am available if you have any questions.
Any questions for Shannon at this point? If not, is there a representative from the charter?
Hello, yes.
Good
Good
morning.
morning. Good morning, President Close, Superintendent Designee Miller, and members. My name is Michelle Kay, and I'm the Chief Operating Officer for Leona Group. We are the management company for El Dorado High School. I have with me today Ms. Baja Ali, school leader at El Dorado High School, Mr. Christopher Egden, school leader at Glenview High School, Mary Berg, Vice President of Academic Support Services, and Eddie Wheeler, Chief of Staff in our support office. The Leona Group started in 1997 in Arizona, primarily with alternative high schools. We are one of the largest and longest operating alternative school providers in the state of Arizona. Currently, we have 14 alternative high schools, 4 traditional high schools, 1 online high school, and the remaining of our 28 campuses is elementary schools. I do want to speak to today the academic performance of El Dorado. It's a little bit of an unusual situation because we have a traditional high school and an alternative high school sharing the same charter. So they have slightly different areas of focus. Mary Berg is available to answer any questions that you have about their academic performance. Mary?
Should I wait for questions?
No, go ahead.
Hi, my name is Mary Berg. I'm Vice President of Academic Support for Leona Group, and I am here to talk a little bit just about the alternative status. Glenview is a traditional school, and I believe you'll see they have an A rating. The school we're discussing right now is El Dorado High School, which is an alternative school. And the school leader is also here. She can answer questions, but what I do want to talk about is a little bit about our alternative rating. Is what the alternative rating scale is, our students are coming to us primarily in the 11th and 12th grades, and they are coming with proficiency, non-proficient students in previous testing, as well as when we test, we do benchmark testing for grade level equivalency. Our students are coming at the 5th and 6th grade level. What we do is we take those students and we're attempting to get students to pass an 11th grade test. And that's what our goal is, to increase proficiency of students. Baja is going to talk a little bit about that, the school leader. I want to talk about the alternative school rating scale is when we come in. Yes, there was one school in the area that received a higher rating than we did for English language arts. However, when you look at our students, although they may not be proficient, we are gaining points and getting students close to proficiency. This counts when we're looking at, you may see on supplement D or appendix D on page 5, when you're looking, how is this school doing compared to other schools in the area? When we look across the wide range of things that we hold alternative schools accountable for, El Dorado High School is doing quite well. The biggest thing that we say, alternative schools, what counts for alternative schools, what are we responsible for? We're looking at getting students across the finish line to graduation. We're looking at their proficiency and we're looking at their persistence. When you look at El Dorado High School, you will note that their alternative proficiency points are actually coming in above the state average. Yes, they're low. We're fully aware of that. And Baja can talk a little bit about what we're doing to remedy that. Academic persistence this is a challenge for us. And academic persistence is having students stay with us from one year to the next year within the year. That's something that El Dorado High School is completely dedicated to. And Baja can talk a little bit about the team that works on that. On track to graduate is one of our pride points. And that is students when they're getting close to graduation, we take a look at them, where are they sitting in January, is getting those students that are within 3 credits of graduation across the finish line. This is a really challenging group of students to work with because a lot of times when they're faced with success, i.e. graduation, it gets scary. What are my next steps? So what they tend to do is back out or drop out at this time. El Dorado High School has a program that not only keeps these students engaged, but you'll see that on track to graduate points, they get 100% of their kids once they're close across the lines. That's very closely tied to credits earned, which is the dedication of schools making them make sure students stay engaged when they're there, stay engaged in their classes, pass their classes and earn their credits, as well as tied to their CCRR points, which is that college career readiness points, to make sure that students that are at the school are ready for the next steps. So those are our graduating students. Are they ready to fully participate in whatever may come next in their life? Baja is a school leader there. I'm going to have her just briefly talk about what's happening at the school when we're looking at proficiency points.
Good morning, President, members of the board, superintendent representative. My name is Baja Ali, and I'm the school leader of El Dorado High School. I have been with the Leone Group for 12 years. I served as the science teacher, curriculum coach, and have been the school leader of El Dorado since 2016. As Mary has mentioned, there are some pride points in our letter grade and the things that we are doing for our students. And although we have came in close or within range of the average proficiency scores for the schools in our area, that is not a satisfaction for El Dorado High School. Our goal is to get our students to or above the proficiency levels across the state and up to 7% or higher. Once our students come to us, which they do often, and we are always enrolling. For instance, we have 61 juniors enrolled as of right now. Of the 61, 41 of them came to El Dorado High School after this school year has started. And that's a big number for us to take in and to work with and grow. As soon as students enroll at El Dorado High School, we benchmark test them to see where they are at and to gauge their level. We found that majority of our students are testing in the 6th grade level in ELA and 5th grade level in math. And our goal is to get them to show proficiency on an 11th grade level test. So we have put plans and systems in place to help our students grow, and that's what we focus on. We are trying to get our students to perform at the 11th grade level test while making sure that they are meeting all the standards to graduate from high school and earn the credits that they need, and growing and filling the gaps that they come in with. So we use a program called IXL. Students are able to access that from home, but we make sure that we provide them the time at school. In math and ELA classes, we provide them 20 minutes a day a class, and in all other content areas, we provide them 30 minutes a week. What we're looking for is about 10 points or more growth on IXL benchmarks for every 4 weeks of enrollment. And with that, coupled with the support that we provide them, because again, as our students come in, we are seeing an increase in mental health needs, in social emotional needs, and with the help of our social worker, the help of our dropout prevention, and these teachers at the school who build and leverage relationships with our students, we anticipate to continue growing and get our students where they need to be in proficiency while making sure that we maintain the points that we are excelling at as of right now. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Are there any questions from the board?
This is Foster. I have a quick question regarding the using IXL at their home. Are they provided the technology, and how are you ensuring that they have that support?
Absolutely. We provide them Chromebooks and we provide them hotspots when they need them. And we have the teachers working with them on following up that they are utilizing. And we also work with the parents and make sure that their students have this resource available that will fill the gaps that they're coming in when they come to El Dorado High School. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there additional board member Foster? Is that satisfactory?
Yes, thank you.
Other questions?
Yeah, this is Jessica. So you had said you wanted them to increase by roughly 10 points per 4 weeks. How has that been going so far?
So that has been going well. Upon enrollment, once we gauge their levels, we continue to see them grow, and we are seeing the growth that we are looking for. As of right now, we have 65% of our students meeting that level of growth, and the rest of them are showing growth, although it might be slower than we expect. And we continue to have them connected with our paraprofessionals to provide them that extra support.
Great. And I just have one more question. I think I am confused, so I just need a little bit of clarification. With this enrollment cap, there was a mention of that cap being an increase for both the in-person and alternative schools, or is it just for El Dorado? I'm just trying to make sure I understand.
The enrollment cap the enrollment cap increase is for both schools because they're both underneath the same charter. There's one enrollment cap for the entire charter. So it's going to allow El Dorado to grow and Glenview to grow.
And El Dorado is in person.
El Dorado's an in-person school.
That's
And
what I
Glenview-
thought. I just wanted to make sure I understood.
Thanks for asking, Jessica. I was kind of going to ask the same question, so I appreciate it. Any other questions from the board?
Yes, President Close, this is Board Member Stratton, just a comment.
Please.
It seems that, there is a plan in place to address the shortfall, with the standards, and that plan appears to be working, which is good. So I'm pleased to hear that.
Good. Thank you, Board Member Stratton. Any other questions or comments? If there are none, is there a motion?
This is Jessica. I move based on the information contained in the board materials and presented today to approve the request to increase the enrollment cap from 750 to 900 effective in fiscal year 2024 for the contract of Kaizen Education Foundation, DBA El Dorado High School.
There's a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
I'll second the motion. This is Board Member Stratton.
Thank you, Tim. Okay, Aaron, please take the vote.
Vice President Montier,
Aye.
Superintendent Designee Miller,
Aye.
Ms. Barr,
Aye.
Dr. Crockett,
Aye.
Ms. Foster,
Aye.
Mr. Ruiz,
Aye.
Mr. Stratton,
Aye.
President Close.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. Thank you all. Next item up is I4. Are we still on I? Anyway, we're on Morrison Education Group. Presented by Sandy. You're going to provide, Sandy, you there? Sandy,
You're muted.
I guess Sandy, okay. Right. You're going to provide an introduction for both the status change and ownership request.
President Close, we're getting a bad double.
Yeah. Hang on. Does muting help? Nope.
We'll go ahead and mute. 1 second, please.
How about now? Nope. Sandy, you want to go ahead and just give your introduction and we'll move from there, see if it'll work.
Ms. Weiler, can you please mute your device? Thank you. And we're good to go.
Sandy? No, that's better. Can you all hear me? Okay. Sandy, you'll go ahead and give an introduction for this charter holder status change in ownership for both the requests. Discussion can happen. However, there'll need to be 2 separate votes for Morrison Education Group. Sandy?
Sandy, you're still muted. I can go ahead and do the introduction for you. Hold on 1 second. Okay. President Close and board members, Morrison Education Group, Inc. has submitted a charter holder status change in ownership amendment request for each of the contracts held by the entity. On this agenda, the board will consider 2 separate amendments for 2 separate contracts. Morrison Education Group has resolved to transfer each charter contract to a new entity specific to the school operated under the contract. Each request was accompanied by a charter contract transfer agreement dated February 3rd of 2023 that will be effective July 1, 2023, but is contingent upon approval by the board. The transition is occurring after almost 2 years of consideration by the charter holder and is intended to centralize school support functions into a single charter management organization for all contracts currently held by Morrison. Information about board membership for each entity is outlined in the executive summaries. Morrison has accounted for the transition of all systems, data, and reporting in the signed agreement that accompanied the amendments. And President Close and board members, with that, I'm happy to help answer any questions needed.
Were there any questions right now from the board? Hearing none, is there a representative from the charter?
Yes, good morning. My name
Good
is
morning.
Dr. Morrison, and I am the founder and CEO of Morrison Education Group, DBA Sun Valley Academies. I'm happy to be able to spend a few moments with you all this morning. I just have a couple of brief comments. And so I'd like to say good morning to President Close, Superintendent Designee Miller, and the board members. I just wanted to just add that, regarding our charter holder status, change in ownership, that there won't be a noticeable change in the day-to-day life for our students, we call them scholars, or our parents or our staff. So there will remain normal school functions, no noticeable disruptions. However, this change does make our operating structure more clear, and we believe that clarity and transparency are always good for our students and our community. So the benefits to the school are that we'll have a CMO to address the management of scale and purchases, HR functions, et cetera. And it also more fully frees up our principals and administration staff to be the instructional site leaders they need to be. So again, the information, the majority of the information was contained in our amendment requests, and we feel like it's really for the good of our organization and allowing us to better and more fully deliver our commitment of our mission to our students and our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions from the board for Morrison Education Group?
President Close, I have a question. This is Member Miller. Good morning, Dr. Morrison. Thank you so much for being here with us today. I know that the structure currently sits as a nonprofit, and I was just curious if there's any shift in the nonprofit or for-profit status as you transition.
What a wise and astute question. No, we will remain a nonprofit. Our structure, all of our structure remains nonprofit. We believe in transparency.
Great. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Not hearing any. So is there a motion?
This is Jessica. I move based on the information contained in the board materials and presented today to approve the charter holder status amendment request to change the ownership of the contract held by Morrison Education Group, Inc., entity number 90192 to Sun Valley Academy, South Mountain, Inc.
There's a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
I'll second. This is Board Member Stratton.
Seconded by Board Member Stratton. Aaron, go ahead and take the vote.
Vice President Montier,
Aye.
Superintendent Designee Miller,
Aye.
Ms. Barr,
Aye.
Dr. Crockett,
Aye.
Ms. Foster,
Aye.
Mr. Ruiz,
Aye.
Mr. Stratton,
Aye.
President Close.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thanks, Aaron. And then we'll need another motion. Will there be additional discussion? Any other thing, anything else from Morrison? Did you have anything else to add, or are you prepared for us to move forward?
You can move forward, President Close.
Thank you. So is there another motion for Morrison, Jessica?
This is Jessica. I move based on the information contained in the board materials and presented today to approve the charter holder status amendment request to change the ownership of the contract held by Morrison Education Group, Inc., entity number 1001157 to Sun Valley Academy, Avondale, Inc.
Very good. Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second. This is Board Member Stratton.
Seconded by Member Stratton. Aaron, please take the vote.
Vice President Montier,
Aye.
Superintendent Designee Miller,
Aye.
Ms. Barr,
Aye.
Dr. Crockett,
Aye.
Ms. Foster,
Aye.
Mr. Ruiz,
Aye.
Mr. Stratton,
Aye.
President Close.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. Moving on, agenda item J, charter renewals. First item is one educational options foundation presented by Sandy.
Yep, and President Close, I'm going to take Sandy's introduction. So I'll go
All
ahead
right, thank you.
and do those for you.
Will you be doing both?
I will, yes.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome. Educational Options Foundation submitted a charter renewal application package on January 4th, 2023 to continue operation of Ed Options Preparatory Academy and Ed Options High School Learning Center with a current renewal contract, or I'm sorry, with a current contract. Ed Options Preparatory Academy is approved to serve grades 7 through 12 in Nogales, and Ed Options High School Learning Center serves grades 9 through 12 statewide with a current enrollment cap of 4,275. As part of the renewal process, staff conducted a virtual academic systems review of Ed Options Preparatory Academy and Ed Options High School Learning Center on March 16th, 2023. During the academic systems review, specific areas of the charter contract are reviewed to ensure that a charter holder is in compliance. As a result of that visit, the charter holder has submitted documentation regarding enrollment, and at this time, all issues regarding enrollment have come into compliance. It was also found that although contractually the Nogales school site should be serving 7th and 8th grade, but that those grades are not currently serving those grades and are not marketed to, but we are working with the charter holder as they have indicated they may be submitting additional documentation for us or submitting a school site change in grades served amendment request. The charter holder currently meets the board's operational and financial performance expectations. However, it does not meet the academic performance expectations due to both schools being identified for comprehensive school improvement due to graduation rate, and Ed Options High School Learning Center also being identified for low achievement. With that, President Close and members, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Are there any questions for Ashley at this point?
Hi, Ashley, it's Ms. Barr. Are both of these schools identified as alternative? Am I reading this correctly?
Yes, at this point, all of them, both schools are under alternative status.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? If not, is there a representative from the charter holder? For Ed Options.
This is Steve Grand. I am the charter holder for Educational Options Foundation.
Good morning.
Charter representative for both schools. Good morning to you all. Educational Options Foundation has been serving here in Arizona for quite a long time, and we've had a very good record of success during our years here in Arizona. I think the only blip we've ever had on the radar for academics was during this last year coming out of COVID. But other than that, the graduation rate issue we have had prior for the AOI, predominantly because we have students that are coming to us. And if you look even on the graph, our 7th-year graduation rate is actually our highest because they're coming to us at such an older age. Many of our students don't even enroll here until their 19th or 20th birthday. So that's the only reason that I believe that status will probably remain the same for as long as we're operating here in Arizona because of the rules for graduation rate federally. But we're very excited about this last year. During the summer of 2022, we were able to implement a new comprehensive ACT preparatory program that was actually built in-house that has showed fantastic growth for our students, especially in the area of mathematics, but also in ELA. For this last 4 months, we've had a 27% increase in ELA and a 24.5% increase in math in our scores. So we're excited to see where this puts us for the 2023 SY school year on our testing. We have been benchmarking every year since inception, and we've been watching our data moving up this year dramatically. And I'm open to any question.
Yeah, I was just trying to unmute. Are there any questions for the charter holder from the board?
I have a quick question about the lower grades. Could you talk to us about the process that you're going through? I know Ashley said that there were some grades that you were scheduled to, or that you're supposed to be operating or allowed to operate that you're not.
Sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Can you talk us
Yeah,
through that?
Yeah, piece of cake. We moved our location in Nogales from one location to another. We've had pre-enrollment documentation given to us, but because we believe we need to add another comprehensive piece to that pie, that's a whole nother amendment that we'll be talking with the board at a later date. But when you only have a very small number of children enroll into a program, sometimes the parents will just pull them right back out before it starts because it's not enough to make them feel comfortable. So we're going to be working with Ashley and Rachel directly to supply the information that we have as the pre-enrollments. And then we have implemented a complete revise of the 7th and 8th curriculum in the last, well, we started that process over a year ago, but we finished it in August of this year. It has a lot more that we think will inspire 7th and 8th graders, not only in the area of assessment, but in the area of engagement through comprehensive video programs. So that way they not only have teacher-led instruction live, but they're able to actually review more video content at home or even in the classroom. So we've put a huge amount of financial resources into the lower grade levels in the last 6 months. Well, actually, we started 18 months ago, completing in December of 2022. We finished that process right before the Christmas break. So if that helps you.
That does. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you, Jessica. Any other questions from the board? If there are no more questions, is there a motion?
Yeah, this is Jessica. I move based on a review of the information provided by the representatives of the charter holder and the contents of the application package to extend the charter holder's current contract through June 30th, 2024, approve the charter renewal application package, and grant a renewal contract to Educational Options Foundation effective July 1, 2024.
There's a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
I'll second the motion. This is Board Member Stratton.
Member Stratton. Aaron, please go ahead and take the vote.
Vice President Montier,
Aye.
Superintendent Designee Miller,
Aye.
Ms. Barr,
Aye.
Dr. Crockett,
Aye.
Ms. Foster,
Aye.
Mr. Ruiz,
Aye.
Mr. Stratton,
Aye.
President Close.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on.
Thank you.
Thanks. Moving on, next item, Morrison Education Group, Inc. And
Morrison.
Go ahead.
Sorry, President Close. It's going to be me again.
Yeah, I was just going to ask if it was going to be you, but
Nope, it's me. Okay, so Morrison Education Group, Inc., entity ID 90192, submitted a charter renewal application package on October 31, 2022, to continue operation of Sun Valley Academy. Sun Valley Academy serves K-8 in Phoenix with a current enrollment cap of 850. As part of the renewal process, staff conducted a virtual academic systems review of Sun Valley Academy on February 16, 2023. During the academic systems review, specific areas of charter contract are reviewed to ensure a charter holder is in compliance. As a result of the visit, the charter holder was required to submit updated documentation demonstrating compliance with all statutes, rules, and policies related to enrollment of students. These issues are now in compliance. The charter holder currently meets the board's operational and financial performance expectations. However, it does not meet the academic performance expectations due to the school being identified for targeted school improvement for the subgroups of English learners and students with disabilities. And with that, President Close and members, I am available for questions.
are there any questions for Ashley? If not, is there a representative from the charter?
Hi, good morning again.
Good morning.
I'm with you today. And again, I know that a comprehensive review was done and you have that information. But I again remain and stand proud of what our organization is doing and accomplishing. And even as we have worked through the effects of the pandemic, we are seeing really good trajectory with our student performance and data. And we feel very confident, and we feel as we've looked at and analyzed the information from our 15-year review, we feel that Sun Valley Academies remain on a strong track, and we're very proud of what we're doing. But I am available for any questions that you may have.
Any questions from the board?
This is Jessica.
Jessica.
Can you talk us through any changes or anything that you've done to address the areas of concern with English learners and the special education population?
Oh, absolutely. So, we, in response, our data and our internal data analysis is showing that a lot of the change that we saw there in just those two subgroups, and we also have great trajectory with our other groups, which, obviously weren't highlighted. But what we have found is that, again, as a response to the pandemic, we've had to continue to increase, and our motto is to be all things to all kids. And so we have upped our intervention. We have created even more opportunities. We have been known for our go over and above mentality. We have reinstituted Saturday schools, intercessions. We have actually added additional intervention staff, and we have been running a success program. We don't call it a targeted program, but we have been running a success program for those specific groups even over the last 3 months, and have already seen and have, we've been very, very pleased with how our scholars are responding. And in short, we've really been trying to get our families re-engaged back into the learning mode. And we, while a lot of schools across the nation have seen some academic declines, related to COVID, our subgroups, 2 of our subgroups took a stronger hit. And so we have really focused and dialed in and brought in additional resources. And so our data is looking good. And we're actually very confident about this year's performance. And so I just finished a meeting before this, and there's just a really good atmosphere. I'm on campus at that particular campus today. I'm based out of South Mountain a majority of my time. And I just had a meeting with my staff and my interventionist and got some really good feedback on their actual direct work with the scholars and their reports of how they even did on our assessment. So I'm feeling really good. And, our 14 years have shown that we know how to deliver a program to our high needs population. So this is our wheelhouse. This is our bread and butter. Well, we're going to be better than good.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you both. Any other questions from the board? If there are no more questions, is there a motion?
This is Jessica. I move based on a review of the information provided by the representatives of the charter holder and the contents of the application package to extend the charter holder's current contract through June 30th, 2024, approve the renewal application package, and grant a renewal contract to Morrison Education, Inc., entity number 90192, effective July 1, 2024.
There's a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
I'll second the motion. Board Member Stratton.
Member Stratton, thank you. Aaron, please go ahead and take a vote.
Vice President Montier,
Aye.
Superintendent Designee Miller,
Aye.
Ms. Barr,
Aye.
Dr. Crockett,
Aye.
Ms. Foster,
Aye.
Ms. Ruiz,
Aye.
Mr. Stratton,
Aye.
President Close.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously.
Okay, thank you. Thank you all. Moving on. The next item is K. Ashley, will you be? Oh, Johanna, sorry.
All right. Good morning, President Close.
Good morning.
Superintendent Designee Miller and board members. Today, Tucson Preparatory School is before you to petition the use of school-specific academic goals. The charter holder is requesting the goals be adopted for fiscal years 2022, 2023, and 2024. The charter holder has met the eligibility criteria due to serving over 70% students with homelessness. The school-specific academic goals policy, which was approved by the board in June of 2016, allows a charter holder that operates a school serving a special student population that does not have an achievement profile for state accountability based on its unique student population the opportunity to petition the board to adopt unique school-specific academic performance standards based on the board's eligibility criteria. In this case, Tucson Preparatory School meets the eligibility criteria due to the percentage of students with homelessness that they serve. The goals proposed by the charter holder were developed to address the needs of the students served by the school that upon enrollment demonstrate below average aptitude, high absenteeism due to homelessness, and they severely credit deficient. The schools has a case-managed approach to instruction and expectations for academic growth and improvement. They support the reality of the broken enrollments or displacement experienced by their students. In developing these goals, board staff and representatives of the charter holder participated in the A-Game, which stands for Assessing Global Access Academic Mission and Equity Responsive Goals Process. This process included multiple meetings with each school's team, board staff, and the A-Games team directors, Naomi DeVoe and Dr. Jody Ernst. During these meetings, the school provided 3 years of prior data and research of the validity and reliability of the assessment tools. Metrics and targets were conducted by the A-Game. Through this work, the participants established unique goals for each school. Additionally, the A-Game has provided the board with a letter of assurances explaining the work that was completed for creating the goals for the charter holder. Your board materials do include further detail for each goal, which include the rationale for the goal and its target, how the goal was determined, and how it's appropriate for the students served at the school. Included with each goal is a separate document that provides the business rules for each goal and how the school will report and collect the data related to each goal. It's important to remember that these student responsive goals do encompass all of the students that go to the school. Representatives from the school are here today to answer any questions that you may have. But before we do that, do you have any questions for me?
Any questions? Hearing none. Johanna, so there's someone from Tucson Prep available?
Yes, Mr. President. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Thank you.
My name is Ryan Grimm. I'm a member of the Tucson Prep Board currently and a former administrator. I've been involved with the school about 22 of its 25 years in existence. Of course, I'd like to answer any questions, but before I do that, I would like to thank the board and the charter board staff, especially for this recognition and opportunity to collaborate on behalf of our students, especially Joanna, who worked so hard, and it was really refreshing. For many years and thousands of reasons, we've had an appetite for this type of designation before you today. And with that, I would thank you again, and please ask away.
Thank you. Are there any questions from the board? I believe it's pretty straightforward, but no more questions and no questions. Jessica, you have a question or you want to make a motion?
I'm ready to make a motion if you're ready.
I'm ready.
All right. I move to approve the school-specific academic goals proposed by Tucson Preparatory School as presented and direct staff to incorporate these goals into the contract for the 2021, 2022, 2022, 2023, and 2023-2024 fiscal years and use them for the school, Tucson Preparatory School, as measures on the school's academic performance dashboards in place of the A to F letter grade accountability measure for the specified fiscal years.
Very good. Thank you. Motion on the floor. Is there a second?
I'll second.
I think I heard Dr. Crockett first, so we'll give it to you this time. Motion made and seconded. Aaron, please take the vote.
Vice President Montier,
Aye.
Superintendent Designee Miller,
Aye.
Ms. Barr,
Aye.
Dr. Crockett,
Aye.
Ms. Foster,
Aye.
Mr. Ruiz,
Aye.
Mr. Stratton,
Aye.
President Close.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to item L, compliance matters. Andrea,
Yes, good morning.
good morning.
President Close, Superintendent Designee Miller, members of the board. Charter holders are required to annually submit either a financial statement audit or single audit to the board. Pursuant to board requirements, financial statement audits are due by November 15th. Pursuant to federal requirements, single audits are due by March 31st. For New Horizons School for the Performing Arts, board staff issued a single audit extension of the fiscal year 2020 audit submission deadline. In granting the extension, board staff advised the charter that if it is subsequently determined that the charter is not subject to a single audit, the extension will not apply, and the charter will be required to submit a financial statement audit by November 15th, 2022. On January 27th, 2023, the charter holder submitted a financial statement audit to the board instead of a single audit. As a result, the fiscal year 22 audit was submitted approximately 2.5 months after the applicable deadline of November 15th. Subsequent to the audit submission, board staff obtained information from the charter holder's audit firm, identifying the charter's total federal expenditures as approximately $511,000. Based on federal requirements, the threshold for a single audit is $750,000 or more in federal expenditures. Today, the board may find there is a basis for issuing a notice of intent to revoke the charter contract, but direct staff to develop a consent agreement, or the board may vote to issue a notice of intent to revoke the charter contract. I am available for questions, and charter officials are also available today.
Are there any questions for Andrea? If not,
Can I talk a minute? This is
is
Jan.
this the representative from the charter holder?
We've been
Yeah.
in business for 28 years, and we've always been in compliance. So Michael Mania is our accountant. Are you there, Michael? Michael. And Brett Backman's been our auditor. It's not a mistake of the school. Let me see, wait, Michael, he was on listening. I'm not sure if he's still there.
Yes,
I'm here.
Oh, my. So it was an error of theirs, not mine. And we've run our school very well. And we've been in compliance. We just finished our pop-in visit and got A+. We also finished our cycle monitoring, got an A+. And I think we're a very good school. So I don't know why we ever worry about a revoking of the charter after 28 years of working with students. I find that's very harsh. So Michael, could you come in and please say a few words, please? Thank you.
Good morning, board members. Time. So what we had was an issue of calculation, and we've actually been faced with the same issue now with the Arizona Department of Education. The calculation actually put us, when we originally did it, there was a misconstruing of numbers with regard to funds payout. And so when we looked at our payout over the course of the fiscal year, we actually had exceeded the threshold. The issue was some of those funds were actually obligated for fiscal year 21 as part of the ESSER program. And so when we looked at that actual calculation for fiscal year 22 during the federal part of the single audit, the auditor and I determined that miscalculation had occurred. We've since taken steps to ensure that this issue would no longer happen again. Every audit for this school will be scheduled, whether regular audit or federal single audit will be scheduled ahead of the November 15th deadline, specifically to provide that even if an error were to be made in calculating single audit threshold again, the audit will be completed in entirety ahead of the regular audit submission deadline. So there will be no issue of non-compliance for audit submission deadlines going forward, regardless of the type of audit necessary.
Okay. Are those all the comments from the charter holder?
I was told by Michael and our auditor, Brent Backlund, who's been with us for how many years, 20 years, that this could easily be rectified. And I don't know, other than redoing the audit would be all this is necessary. It was a mistake, but not ours. And maybe with Michael and Brett, since they've already approached and rectified it and told what they were going to do to correct it, that it is being corrected. I don't know what else I need to say. I'm not sure what you're really looking for.
Appreciate the comments.
We've
Thank you for muting, Ms. Weiler. Are there any questions from the board?
President Close, it's Carol Crockett. I have one.
Dr.
Ms.
Crockett.
Weiler, have you any problem that's
What'd you say?
have you had audit problems in the past?
Never.
I'm sorry.
Never.
Can we fix the echo?
Ms. Weiler, could you mute for a second?
Sure.
Dr. Crockett, do you want to restate?
I think she answered it. I asked if there had been audit problems in the past.
And she said never. Yeah. So.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Crockett. Are there any other questions from the board?
This is Ms. Barr. My question's for Andrea, if she's still on. Other than being submitted late, were there any other concerns with the audit that was submitted?
There were not. There were not.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions?
Well, another question, and I don't know if it can be answered here, but is it a problem that can be easily rectified without setting a precedent? I wonder.
How do you mean, Dr. Crockett? You mean?
Ms. Weiler stated that it's something that could be easily remedied.
Andrea, do you have any comment on that?
Approximately 2 years ago, we had 2 charter holders that were in a similar situation as New Horizons. And at that time, the board voted to issue the consent agreement that requires them to timely submit their audit. And if those corrections are in place, the school should not have any issues with complying with that agreement.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think the consent agreement is a reasonable way to proceed, but that's just my opinion. Jessica, did you have a question? I see you unmuted.
No, I'm ready to make a motion if there are no questions.
Well, if there are no other questions, then we'll go ahead and hear your motion.
All right. I move to find New Horizons School for the Performing Arts, hereinafter referred to in this motion as the charter holder, has failed to timely submit its fiscal year 2022 audit and therefore has violated its charter contract and state law. These failures and violations provide a sufficient basis to issue a notice of intent to revoke the charter holder's charter contract. However, the board is authorized to exercise its legal discretion with regards to actions taken against the charter holder that is not in compliance with its charter, other obligations to the board, and state and federal law. In an effort to bring the charter holder into compliance, the board directs the staff to work with the legal counsel to develop a consent agreement that addresses the charter holder's noncompliance with the board's audit submission requirements, its charter contract, and state law, and and includes the audit-related provisions identified in the meeting materials. If the charter holder chooses not to accept the terms of the consent agreement, then it is the board's discretion or decision that the charter holder be placed on a future agenda for a motion to issue a notice of intent to revoke the charter holder's charter contract for the reasons already specified.
Motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second, Carol Crockett.
Second by Dr. Crockett. Additional discussion? Hearing none. Aaron, please take a vote.
Vice President Montier,
Aye.
Superintendent Designee Miller,
Aye.
Ms. Barr,
Aye.
Dr. Crockett,
Aye.
Ms. Foster,
Aye.
Mr. Ruiz,
Aye.
Mr. Stratton,
Aye.
President Close.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously.
All right. Thank you. Go ahead and move on to the next item. Also, Andrea, Maricopa County Community Colleges.
State law requires charter schools to annually submit to the board a financial and compliance audit, which is conducted by an independent certified public accountant. For many of the board's charters, the audit is due November 15th. However, charters that spend $750,000 or more in federal funds must submit a single audit by March 31st. Of the 223 charters subject to a single audit for fiscal year 22, all have submitted the required documents to the board except for two: Maricopa County Community College District on behalf of Gateway Early College High School and Maricopa County Community College District on behalf of Phoenix Preparatory Academy. On March 31st, 2023, the board received the two charter holders' fiscal year 2022 financial statements, reports on internal control and compliance required under government auditing standards, and the legal compliance questionnaires, but did not receive the single audit specific schedules and reports. Therefore, the two charter holders' submissions were deemed incomplete. Pursuant to the board's administrative rules, a charter that fails to timely submit a complete audit may be subject to charter oversight. Among its options, the board may vote to withhold up to 10% of the two charter holders' monthly state aid payments until the remaining fiscal year 2022 audit components are submitted to the board. Should the board decide today to withhold funds, the withholding would begin with the two charter holders' April 21st payment. If funds are withheld, once the charter holders have submitted complete audits, the withheld funds will be returned with the next regularly scheduled payment. I am available for questions, and charter officials are also available.
Thank you, Andrea. Any questions from the board right now?
President Close, this is Board Member Stratton.
Yes, Member Stratton.
Yes, I am going to be recusing myself from this matter. I have represented Maricopa Community College on other non-related matters and continue to represent them on other non-related matters. But out of an abundance of caution, I'll be recusing myself from this vote and discussion.
Understood. Thank you.
President Close, if I may, Dan, I know you're on. Are you able to remove Mr. Stratton into a meeting room while we consider this item? All right, Mr. Stratton, you'll be moved into a separate meeting room. So President Close, if we can hold for 1 minute.
All right.
Before we do that.
Just let me know when we're ready.
I believe he was just removed. So go ahead.
All right, thanks.
Yeah.
Are there any other questions from the board at this moment? If not, we'll go ahead. Is there the representative from the charter available?
Yes, sir.
All right, go ahead. President
Close, Superintendent Miller, and members of the board, I am Cecilia Villa. I am the charter school representative for Gateway Community College. I have with me today Principal Stacy Boyd, along with Controller Dawn Rector and Assistant Controller Christina Winterstein. I'm going to offer Dawn Rector the floor so she can explain what's going on. Dawn?
Thank you, Cece. Good morning, Dr. Close,
Superintendent Designee Miller and board members. My name is Dawn Rector. I am the interim controller at the district office for Maricopa Community College District. We have, for the past couple of years, kind of a larger volume with Governmental Accounting Standard Board regulations that has delayed our financial audit by 1 month. And it's created a larger volume of activity coupled with a large volume of turnover amongst our 10 colleges as well as at one of our charter schools. And so we've had key personnel that have been instrumental in pulling together the information needed for an increase in volume from these GASB standards, as well as an increase in volume for the single audit itself. The number of programs being under review has increased. And while we have strong professionals in place, we have key members that are managing both audits. We don't have a very deep bench. And so that larger volume has created delays in both the financial audit over the last 2 fiscal years, as well as the single audit. And we anticipate that the single audit report will be issued by the end of April. I'm happy to entertain any questions.
I was just about to ask that. Are there any questions from the board?
This is Ms. Barr. So it sounds like what you're saying, this isn't just, a Maricopa County school, charter school issue. It's kind of across the board with the community colleges as well. Is that kind of what I'm hearing?
Yes, the single audit is issued for our federal programs for student financial services and all of our grant programs, and as well as the charter schools.
All right, thank you. Any other questions? If there are no more questions, Jessica?
I actually have just a question real quick.
Okay.
How, I guess, just so I have a better understanding, how much of this information was communicated to Andrea and the board as far as the process and what's going on?
I'll defer to Stacy Boyd. Stacy, are you on?
Yes, ma'am. And
Thank you.
President Close, members of the board, Superintendent Miller, the information that was provided, can you hear me? I apologize.
Yeah, you're fine. Thank you.
Okay. The information was provided as quickly as possible. Unfortunately, as the high school principal, I don't receive that information. And the person that I traditionally report to, which is Tony Asti, has recently retired. So the communication has been challenging. I was fortunate enough to have a representative reach out to me from the State Board of Charter Schools, which then allowed me the opportunity to begin communicating with Mrs. Rector. So it's the communication has been challenging, to say the least. If that helps to provide some light to the situation.
Jessica, that satisfactory?
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
Board
Are there any
Member
other?
Foster has a quick question.
Sure.
My understanding, you'll have the information to staff by the end of April. What is the contingency plan if you don't have it by then?
I'll defer to Mrs. Rector.
Thank you for your question, Dr. Foster. The anticipated date is the April 30th timeline that I mentioned earlier. If they don't issue by April 30th, I would anticipate no later than mid-May. But we are working very diligently to work toward that April 30th deadline. I will say that I mentioned the volume, and we've had some key personnel turnover throughout the district. But I would add that the Auditor General's office has maintained the same staffing level to review a larger volume of programs. And so their timeline to review once all of the documentation is in their office is up to 5 weeks. And so I would add that with the same number of staff in an increased volume environment prolongs that review process. So I can't kind of increase their review process, and I can only hope that they would add additional staff in order to process their reviews on a more timely basis as well.
Thank you.
President Close, if I may, just talk about the board's processes and the contingencies that we have in place. The deadlines that have been set by the board are pretty hard and true, and have been widely known for the charter community for many years. What has been common practice in the past, the precedent is that there would be in this instance, a 10% withholding, and then allow for the 10% withholding for up to 2 months. And then at that time, if the charter does not submit their audit by that time, then they may be placed, or they will be placed on a future board agenda for additional consideration. Additionally to that, once the charter does provide the audit, that 10% withholding is given back to the school. But we do have a ramp up process in this because the audit is so important to the functions that we have at the board.
Thank you for the comments.
Thank you for the clarification.
Any other questions from the board? Not. Is there a motion? There will be 2 separate motions, just to clarify.
Correct. So this is Jessica. I move to find that Maricopa County Community College District, on behalf of Gateway Early College High School, is not in compliance with state law and its charter contract due to its failure to submit a complete fiscal year 2022 audit, and to approve withholding of 10% of the charter holder's monthly state aid apportionment until a complete fiscal year 2022 audit has been submitted to the board.
There's a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second, Carol Crockett.
Second by Dr. Crockett. Aaron, please take a vote.
Vice President Montier,
Aye.
Superintendent Designee Miller,
Aye.
Ms. Barr,
Aye.
Dr. Crockett,
Aye.
Ms. Foster,
Aye.
Mr. Ruiz,
Aye.
President Close.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. Andrea, is there any additional discussion that we need to have before we consider another motion?
No, there isn't.
Are there any additional questions or comments from the board? Hearing none, is there a motion?
This is Jessica. I move to find that Maricopa County Community College District, on behalf of Phoenix Preparatory Academy, is not in compliance with state law and its charter contract due to its failure to submit a complete fiscal year 2022 audit, and to approve withholding 10% of the charter holder's monthly state aid apportionment until a complete fiscal year 2022 audit is submitted to the board.
Motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second, Carol
Second
Crockett.
by Dr. Crockett. Aaron, please go ahead and take the vote.
Vice President Montier,
Aye.
Superintendent Designee Miller,
Aye.
Ms. Barr,
Aye.
Dr. Crockett,
Aye.
Ms. Foster,
Aye.
Mr. Ruiz,
Aye.
President Close.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. All right, the next 2 items that we're to consider to be an executive session. So is there a motion to move into an executive session?
This is Jessica.
Sorry, Jessica. Before we do that, Dan, I just want to make sure we bring Mr. Stratton back in before we take the motion. Oh, there he is. Perfect.
Thanks, Ashley.
You're welcome.
Perfect. Thanks.
Thank you.
Are we ready?
Jessica.
Yes, okay. I move to enter into executive session concerning items M and O for the purpose of receiving legal advice from the board's attorney and for discussion or consultation with its attorney in order to consider the board's position and instruct its attorney regarding pending or contemplated litigation for settlement discussions.
The motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second, Carol.
Dr. Crockett. Aaron, please go ahead and take a vote.
Vice President Montier,
Aye.
Superintendent Designee Miller,
Aye.
Ms. Barr,
Aye.
Dr. Crockett,
Aye.
Ms. Foster,
Aye.
Mr. Ruiz,
Aye.
Mr. Stratton,
Aye.
President Close.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously.
Okay, we're in executive session.
And for those listening right now, I just want to let you know that we're going to take about a 5-minute break, and we'll come back at 12:02 at this time. Thank you. And close. If you are ready, we could go ahead and take roll to make sure all of our board members come back, and then we can go ahead and go into items M and then O.
All right, let's go ahead and take a roll, make sure everyone's back.
President Close,
Here.
Vice President Montier,
Here.
Superintendent Designee Miller, Ms. Barr,
Here.
Mr. Chimoni, Dr. Crockett,
Here.
Ms. Foster,
Here.
Mr. Ruiz,
Here.
Mr. Stratton, Mr. Swanson. And just to confirm, I think I see Superintendent Designee Miller.
Here.
Thank you. President Close, you have a quorum.
Very good. Welcome back, everyone. We just have a few items of business to take care of, a couple of motions to be made. Jessica, do you want to go ahead and start with item M?
Yes. I move to approve the agreement discussed in executive session to resolve Arizona Education Solutions appeal and authorize the board president to execute the agreement on behalf of the board.
Motion on the floor. Is there a second?
This is Ms. Barr. I'll second.
Thank you, Ms. Barr. Aaron, please go ahead and take a vote.
Vice President Montier,
Aye.
Superintendent Designee Miller,
Aye.
Ms. Barr,
Aye.
Dr. Crockett,
Aye.
Ms. Foster,
Aye.
Mr. Ruiz,
Aye.
Mr. Stratton,
Aye.
President Close.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously.
Good. And then we have item O to consider as well. Jessica, do you have a motion for that?
I do. I move to authorize board staff and legal counsel to proceed regarding consent agreements as instructed by the board during executive session.
Motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second, it's Carol Crockett.
Dr. Crockett, thank you. Aaron, please take a vote.
Vice President Montier,
Aye.
Superintendent Designee Miller,
Aye.
Ms. Barr,
Aye.
Dr. Crockett,
Aye.
Ms. Foster,
Aye.
Mr. Ruiz,
Aye.
Mr. Stratton,
Aye.
President Close.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously.
Good, thank you. Thank you all. Ashley, do you have anything for item P?
The only thing I have to report is that our next board meeting will be held on May 8th at 9 a.m.
Very good. Thank you. And we'll just leave it at that.
Yes, we'll leave it at that.
If there's nothing else from the board, I'm not hearing anything, we'll go ahead and adjourn. Everyone have a very good day. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.